Let's bring in another voice. This is Jeb Hensarling, who's from Texas. He's a Republican. He has a different view. Sir, what's your view? You've got the auto industry on its last legs, apparently, talking bankruptcy. What do we do?
Well, one, Chris, the entire economy is hurting. I don't know anybody, any industry in this economy that isn't hurting. So I don't know, you have Washington picking winners and losers. That's point number one. Point number two, if we were simply concerned about sustaining jobs and creating jobs, 3/4 of the new jobs in America are from small business. I have a lot of small businesses in my district. And if you're looking at putting in $25 billion on top of another $25 billion, well, at $25,000, that's the average capitalization for a small business. Chris, you could create 2 million new small businesses
Could you create any
around
cars?
America.
Could you create any U.S. cars with small businesses?
You probably couldn't
Don't you need
create
big business
any
to make
cars.
cars? Well, do you like the idea
again,
we're dependent on foreign
this is
car
the argument,
producers?
Chris, that you're too big to fail, but you're not too small to get taxed. The next point I would make is, you know, these factories aren't going to disappear. Now, I hope they can make it. I don't want to see anybody go into bankruptcy, but Chris, sometimes going into bankruptcy helps you reorganize, get a different set of management in, and maybe it actually saves the jobs. There are a number of instances where jobs have been saved during that process. The next point I would make is a lot of problems in Detroit, unfortunately, they brought on themselves. Their labor costs are 2/3 higher than that of their competitors. And when you look at customer satisfaction, the big three score at the bottom. And so you can argue they're making a bunch of products that people don't necessarily want. They're doing it at a high cost, and now they want the taxpayer, when they're struggling to put food on the table, gas in the car, send kids to college, to bail them out. You know, it doesn't seem smart, and it doesn't seem fair. You know, I think there's better ways to get this economy moving than bailing them out. And where does it stop? I mean, are the airlines next? Is it Starbucks next week? Where does it finally end? Bailout?
Well, we know
mania?
where it started. It started with the president and the Democratic candidate for president and the Republican candidate for president all agreeing on a $700 billion gift to the financial institutions of this country. If that's a good idea, why isn't it a good idea to give it to people who make cars?
Well, I
if
didn't
that's a good
necessarily buy
idea.
into the fact. Well, Chris, I didn't necessarily buy into it as a good idea. I helped lead the opposition against the Paulson plan. I mean, clearly we're in a financial crisis, but I didn't believe that plan was the one that would work, and already they've abandoned the model. Listen, the federal government does have a responsibility for the money supply in our free enterprise system. It's kind of the circulatory system of the economy, but once you get past that and start picking winners and losers in specific industries, where does it all stop? I mean, simply because we've heard of the big three and they have great representatives in Washington, why should they get the money and not the struggling beautician or teacher in the 5th Congressional District of Texas?
Well, you've got a complete belief in the free market system and a belief in maybe, maybe Milton Friedman, it sounds like, and you believe in all that stuff, and I wonder whether that's been supported by events. Sir, it looks to me like we're going to need something like mixed capitalism again. It's not going to be pure. It's going to be some kind of deal, it looks like. But I really appreciate you coming on tonight on a Friday night, sir. Thank you. This is so complicated. Thank you very much, Congressman Jeb Hensarling of Texas.